even the military, it seems, is basically owned. It's all been like sold off. It's all been, you know, it's like the jets. Those jets are apparently not even owned by the British military. They're owned by a hedge fund. They've not actually done an early life check into the hedge fund itself. But it won't surprise me if it leads to the same place, you know, every single time almost. Owned by a hedge fund. So let's do, because obviously, again, the Julian Assange crowd, they only go so far. They're a bit of a limited hangout as well. I know these people. They're caught in that left-right divide as well. Do you know what I mean? If you thought RAF jets were owned by the RAF, think again. The RAF squadron targeted by for a repaint by Palestine Action is due to its involvement in supplying Israel's genocide. Does not, in fact, belong to the RAF, or it belongs ultimately Polygon Global Partners. Let me get Polygon Global Partners. Let's have a look at that. Let's have a look at that. LLP, a hedge fund. Let's have a look. Let's see who owns. Can we get a... Is an event-driven equity hedge fund founded by Reed Griffin and Mike Humphreys in 2002. Let's see. The first one, Reed Griffin, is an alternative asset investment specialist with 33 years experience. He co-founded, chief investment officer at Polygon TGF, assessment manager. See, there's all... Sometimes it's like, it's just, you're constantly, because all these shell companies, you just constantly go in and go in and go in. Is co-founder and chief executive of this TFG assessment manager, and Westbourne River Partners is also part of the investment committee. In addition, it works finance. This is financial character. In addition to his work in finance, there is a fictional character. Here we go. There is a fictional character named Reed Griffin in a James Bond novel, Forever and a Day, by Anthony Horowitz, where he is portrayed as a CIA agent. However, see, you know what they do? All of these intelligent operatives, right? So just me reading that thing there about this guy who owns the hedge funds that owns the jets in the RAF, and how by sheer coincidence this guy's name is also a fictional character in a James Bond novel, right? The security community, whether it's CIA, MI6, whatever it is, Mossad, they purposely create people with that has references to fictional characters, or they'll come up with like name puns, clever name puns. And it's all like a little wink and a little, so there's like all of their other colleagues in the security community. They're like, oh, I see what you know, they're all like kind of signaling each other, saying like, oh, they're having fun. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like all that a laugh are expense, by the way. So essentially, the UK, with our taxpayers' money, is essentially doing the dirty work of Israel. They're probably being used on, because obviously Israel's bombing countries through not just Iran, but all sorts of countries. And they're probably using this service. So the RAF is, in a way, it's a bit of a quagmire, it's a bit of a grey area. So are they involved? Are the RAF involved, or are they not involved? Defense spending is more prone to corruption than any form of spending, and that is why venal politicians are always extremely keen to boost it. No UK politician has ever proposed to increase defense spending by more than Keir Starmer, who wants to lift it by 120 billion a year. That such an obvious rotten and corrupt arrangements exist in the RAF, I had no idea. Some British military personnel are in fact contracted mercenaries. It gives new context to the active RAF involvement in the genocide in Gaza. Palestine Action's excellent. See, this is where they lose me then with the sort of Assange, WikiLeaks sort of crowd, which Craig Murray's kind of in. Palestine Action's excellent act of resistance in vandalizing the hedge fund Air Force has brought all of this to attention, which is yet a further reason to be grateful to Palestine Action. But I think a lot of it is because people have been displaced because of what is going on in the Middle East, where Israel are just constantly bombing nations around them because of this ridiculous idea of this Greater Israel project, and it's causing this mass domino effect where people are being displaced and they eventually, through organizations like Israel Aid and various other humanitarian NGOs, they end up here. And they failed in Iran of trying to get the regime changed, but it's just something that they slapped a name on and called it Israel. So therefore it justifies everything that Israel does, the state, the state of Israel, because it has a biblical name, and all of the sort of dogmatic Christians then just think it's all right then. Expand the circle of people, like you saw with Ted Cruz in that interview last week with Tucker Carlson. Circle of peace. It's like when they called it the IDF, the Israel Defense Force, and they're the ones actually like attacking. Do you know what I mean? Rather than defending. The migrant stuff benefits everyone. Israel gets to export enemies away from them. They send these, like if Israel and all of these sort of Israel simps will say how dangerous Islam is. As Richards is said it in the quote, said some Quran quote there, and it's like but then our greatest ally will then send these what they will say dangerous people to these lands. It's like, so why are they sending them here then? If they're so dangerous, why are they helping them to get here then? Because we're supporting, especially if you're sort of like the Tommy Tards, the Trump Tards, people who agree that we should be bombing all of these Middle Eastern countries. In a way, it's like karma. Eventually, it will come back to them, because decades down the line, then when they're in care homes, those people are going to be looking after you, and they ain't going to be doing a very good job about it. Let's put it like that. They're going to be getting their way of revenge. So you need to think about that. What you do here today matters in the future. It affects the future.